And we're back in Paris. Well, we never really left, actually. We just took another trip after Chambord and headed to the town of Amboise. Now, Amboise is special. There's a lot of things here that we could talk about, but the one thing that I want to talk about more is that this is the death place of Leonardo da Vinci. I almost said DiCaprio, and later on you hear me say DiCaprio, and it's a real American asshole thing to do. But hindsight is 2020. After we find some parking, we head to a place called Clos Luce, which is the home and the death place of Leonardo da Vinci. It's a place they've turned into a park. It has a lot of his inventions, some of them which they brought to life that kids can play with, and you can kind of see the uniqueness of it and his brilliance. Also, the home of one of the worst restaurants I've ever been to. So let's take a quick tour. So we just went to like where Da Vinci died. I don't know if it was the actual place. I think it was like the home, but and it shows a bunch of inventions. It was well, I don't know how to say it any other way. The worst fucking food I've ever had, and the worst service in a restaurant. I think maybe top 3 worst service I've ever had. The only reason we didn't walk out is because we had small kids that were losing their minds and needed to eat. Part of it was I didn't Google or use the Google Translate for one of the menus, but ended up eating sausages made from pork guts. But, oh shit. Anyways, had a car coming, so had to move out of the road. But yeah, kids were losing it. They had to eat. Food was terrible. Ended up doing pig intestines, which is like, they call it tripe in other places, but it was disgusting. I could barely even swallow it and try to lie to the kids that it would taste good. But yeah, so now, oh, okay, go ahead, buddy. So we're going to Chateau Ambois and Chapel St. Hubert, where Leonardo DiCaprio's tomb is. So this is bucket list shit. The town built around the chateau is amazing. It's exactly what you would think for, 14th, 15th century old French living. Small little French houses that just give you that really neat feel of old times. Awesome food, really cool artisan shops, and of course their patisseries were just phenomenal. I believe this is an old citron. Absolutely beautiful. I know. I don't have many things on my bucket list. One of them, though, is seeing the tomb of Leonardo da Vinci. Upon arriving, we found out, even though their website said nothing about it, that it was closed for renovation. Absolutely heartbreaking.
Have you ever been in here before?
No. And this is where Leonardo... And I didn't film me losing my mind about it. Yeah, these are all different steps, like the castles.
Let's see where people have specific stuff for all the years.
I know, isn't that cool? Oh yeah, he designed them. Wow. Holy cow. So pretty. Oh. This chateau is special. Out of all the ones that we saw, French style, this one was one of my favorites. So no, he never sat there. Only the king sat there. Leonardo da Vinci cut 0 corners in this. It had the original throne. It had what we called my kids called the Ninja Turtle paintings. So it had Leonardo da Vinci stuff. We had some Raphael, some Michelangelo, and Donatello all inside of this place, which is really unique to see because it's something that they can identify with. Even with the renovations through centuries, this place still has that old world vibe. The art is amazing, the architecture is even more amazing, and the views off the top of this thing are just, the chef's kiss.
Wow. Look at that. Right in the middle.
After going through the castle, we headed out to the gardens. The royal gardens were phenomenal as well.
You guys were just up on that balcony. Another closed section. This thing is nothing but closed stuff. We're kind of getting screwed today. Thanks, France.
It sucks that most places we went to were closed, a lot of locked doors, you can only see a portion of it, but the grounds themselves were just something out of a storybook.
Look at these views. Yeah, we could do one with my camera too, it's fine. So we were just down there in the DaVinci Park. Wow. I don't like heights, but this is what we were just looking up at. No, don't even think about that, buddy. Sorry. You'll give me a heart attack. Dad's a bit of a wuss when it comes to heights. I don't like him. Wow, look at this. This is so cool. Wonder what's in there. Oh, wow. You can kind of see down in there.
What's in there?
I don't know. Pretty awesome though, isn't it? Wouldn't have been scary for them to build this?
Yeah.
Just hanging off of stuff. Okay, you guys want to stand right here and good. Wow. It's a bummer we can't see Leonardo. Flew this whole way from America. Can't see him. Bucket list thing just shot down.
Everything behind this gate. Everything behind this gate seems really nice. Like a big courtyard back there.
Earlier, I think I mentioned that we saw Chambord after Ambois, except it was the other way around. We saw Ambois and then headed over to Chambord, which is the granddaddy of all chateaus.
I can use the boogie board without a leg.
Look at the lavender, guys. Wow. Or maybe it's not.
Through some killer forests and country roads where there were wild boar and stag, we showed up to this monstrosity of a dwelling that was supposed to be a hunting cabin. I'm gonna let you take a look. Chateau is massive, and I mean massive. Not only is it tall, standing at 56 meters, or what here in the States we'd say 184 feet, and it feels every part of that. It's just massive. Looking up at it just feels like it doesn't stop. Sheer skyscraper size. But the actual grounds it's on go forever. The construction started in 1519, and it took all the way to 1547 to complete, which in the grand scheme of things, when you look at this, doesn't seem very long because of how much detail is put into it. It was constructed for the King of France, Francis I. It did go through several different owners through its life, obviously. It was built by Tuscan architect Domenico da Cortona with a lot of influence from Leonardo da Vinci. Now, da Vinci didn't have his hand in this, but a lot of things that we saw going through it definitely shouted out da Vinci. It lasted through the French Revolution, where Napoleon Bonaparte gifted it away from the state to his subordinate, Louis-Alexandre Berthier, and it just keeps going on and on and on, and now is owned by the state of France, or the country of France. Has over 400 rooms, which we got to see a pretty good majority of it. Out of all the chateaus that we went to, this one was pretty open. Once you get in, you get to see the showpiece of this whole thing. Outside of the steeples and everything, the coolest part of this is the double helix staircase. Now, it's a staircase that has two different entrances, and neither one of them touch each other all the way up to, I think, the 5th or 6th floor. It's phenomenal. One of the really neat parts about this that I like being a hunter is all the taxidermy. It's in almost every single room. And keep in mind, this was built to be a hunting lodge, somewhere that the king could go to hang out, do some hunting, hang out with his buddies, and just show it off as, you know, sheer power and wealth. Couple of the cool things that we saw in here besides that, which is a huge ceramic heater or stove, as well as the original throne, one of the leftover crowns from the king, as well as his scepters. The artwork was phenomenal. Some of it was new and some of it was 3D art, which I thought was pretty cool. The paintings were insane. Just insane. They're massive. You're talking 20 foot long, some of them, and over 15 feet tall.
This guy looks ripped.
Mama, I got me.
This guy ripped, torn too. Look at him. People got f***ed up and said, "Make me a statue."
And just to put this in sheer size of including the wooded park that surrounds it and the grounds, as well as multiple gardens and an equine area, an arena, it's 52.5 square kilometers, which is roughly 13,000 acres. It's insane. And rounding everything out was the really cool World War II portion of the tour, which showed where when the Mona Lisa got stolen to, and I believe they found it here. I couldn't get some real information in that, but I know they found a lot of artwork here, and a lot was stolen and recovered and brought back here. But most of the original artwork is at the Louvre in Paris.
You want some bread?
Oh, this one is open.
This one's already open.
After Chambord, we headed back to our Airbnb and got a tour from the owner there, which is awesome. And as I said in the previous film, this family has had this property since 1735, somewhere around there, some like 12 generations. And she was gracious enough to give us a tour, which had everything from tractors and showing how they farmed barley and wheat, and they supply that to a lot of the beer makers in France, mainly Paris, as well as waterfowl. They have a huge waterfowl pond, and I will definitely be coming back to try that.
Look at that little baby.
But one of the coolest things was the pigeon house. Back in the day, we learned that your wealth was really showed with how many pigeons you could hold. This one, each one of those little holes in the wall was supposed to be one pigeon. You were taxed on pigeons. So if you had all of these pigeons here, there was a tax on every single one of those holes that was occupied by a pigeon. However, you got their eggs, you got their meat, and it was a sustainability. What we would call, if you look on a menu here in the States or anywhere you go, squab is pigeon. And it's actually pretty good. This property is amazing. It's absolutely stunning. And the fact that they live here, and we didn't take any video in the main house just out of respect for them, but we're going to give you a little bit of a tour here in a little bit, give you that insight of like how grand this house is. We just stayed in a small wing of this, which the current owner is where they lived when they were younger. But as I flew the drone over, you really get a sense of how big this property is. And that night, we capped the night off and the trip to here in Loire Valley with Bastille Day, which on this day, we got to see a bunch of the stuff they were preparing for, but we got out of the towns because we were told that they kind of become a zoo and traffic gets bad. So we got to see the fireworks in all four directions around at night with the drone, which was kind of fun. Quick tour of the place we were in, and I couldn't get all the rooms in time because everybody was waiting for me to leave. But this first room is where my wife and I stayed in, which they called the Red Room, which I guess was a favorite room to the ruler of Morocco at one point, who was a friend of the great-great-grandfather at the turn of the century. Had a really fun, cute little kitchen with a finicky stove, secondary kids' rooms, and everything else. It just had this really unique little French charm. I would 1,000 times recommend staying at this place, but from what we've been told, it's booked out at 2 years in advance. We got super lucky to get it ourselves, and we would love to return. After the kids played on some trampolines, we headed north to Versailles. Now, a couple things with Versailles. We did want to go into this place, but there were some errors on our end, and we ended up not getting the tickets we thought we did. So we ended up just paying to go and see the Royal Gardens. I would have loved to have seen the Hall of Mirrors and everything inside. The gold here, it's insane. There is so much gold on this building. There is so much work that has gone into it. You can see why it's so special. I don't believe the building itself is big as Chambord, but the actual property itself is way bigger. There's water features absolutely everywhere. There are roads and natural tunnels and trails that go all the way through the forest, each having their own little display or water fountain or grotto. It was just really cool to see this. And then the kids' favorite was a water feature that went along with some symphony, which I could not tell you what the symphony was. My wife did, however, know because she's fancy.
Yeah, sorry.
You know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese in Paris?
They don't call it a quarter pounder with cheese?
Oh man, they got the metric system. They wouldn't know what a quarter pounder is.
And what do they call it?
They call it Royale with cheese.
Royale with cheese.
That's right.
What do they call a Big Mac?
Big Mac's a Big Mac, but they call it Le Big Mac.
Loire Valley, however you want to call it, you were awesome. Now we head up north to Brussels, which is our next stop, and then we come back down to Paris for a day, so stay tuned for that.